Later today, Barack Obama marks 100 days since he was sworn in as President of the United States.
His election brought with it sky-high expectations and also extreme challenges in the form of the global economic crisis. Professor Simon Jackman is a Professor of Political Science at Stanford University and he's also a visiting fellow at the US Studies Centre, and he joins us now from Sydney. Professor, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, thank you.
Tell me, is there a single idea, a moment, a policy decision that for you sums up and encapsulates the first 100 days of Barack Obama?
For me, I have to go back to the speech he gave to the Congress, where he outlined what I still think to be one of the most ambitious legislative agendas we've seen any American president announce in their first 100 days. I think you've got to go back to FDR, frankly, to find anything as sweeping and as bold as what Obama proposed to the Congress that evening. It was really striking. He has all that political goodwill still behind him. He seems well poised to be able to follow through on as much as he promised in that quite remarkable speech to the Congress back in February.
And with that really broad agenda, do you think that's something particular to him and his individual ambitions, or was it warranted and brought about by the times that he finds himself in?
A little bit of both, but I tend to think the times. I think the last 8 years saw a lot of pent-up demand, you might say, from the centre and on the left in particular of American politics. Domestic affairs had to be attended to in the United States, the healthcare system, the education system. These were going to be part of any Democratic platform, I think, no matter who won, if it had been Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. But I think what's really striking is the emphaticness of Obama's win and how he's been able to carry that through with a tremendous reservoir of political capital. I think he's actually probably better placed to follow through and help deliver on some of those expectations, more so than, say, another Democratic winner like Hillary Clinton may have been.
The political capital and goodwill that he came in with, do you see that still in evidence 100 days on?
I do. I actually do. I think a lot of people reading the tea leaves of the polls here, trying to look for a fall in Obama's standing with the American public, that's hard to find, to be honest with you. He's basically, the trend line is not that far from horizontal in terms of his polling numbers. He's caught a few lucky breaks, I've got to say. I think as the Dow Jones slowly recovers and can hover around the 8,000 mark and maybe even improve a little bit, that buys him some goodwill with the American people. When it went to 6,500, his numbers took a tumble. But for the time being, I think if people believe there are the so-called green shoots of economic recovery there, or straws in the wind, whatever you want to call them, I think he's going to continue to enjoy a remarkable position as an American president. And those approval numbers in the mid to high 60s, majorities in both houses of Congress, and sort of in an unparalleled position to follow through with this very ambitious domestic legislative agenda.
It's impossible to not see as deliberate and not coincidental the decision by Arlen Specter to change parties and to move across from the Republicans to the Democrats, potentially giving Barack Obama a filibuster-proof Senate. That's a remarkable, I guess, testimony to what he was talking about in the early days, a kind of new bipartisanship, but I guess no one expected it to extend this far.
This isn't what he had in mind by bipartisanship.
No, but he'll take it, I'm sure.
That's right. No, it is a remarkable, and when you think about it, not unexpected. 60 is, as you've alluded to, a magic number in the United States Senate, and it must have been very tempting for the Democratic leadership in the Senate to think about, is there a left-leaning Republican senator that we can tempt with a committee chairmanship to come over, and with the Minnesota race probably to be decided in the Democratic favor, that'll give him the magic 60 votes. Specter's an interesting guy. He's been in the Senate for an awful long time. He knows his way around. He's been suffering from prostate cancer, and this is probably his last turn, so it's indeed an interesting way to go out as a so-called party switcher and enjoying all the perks that you get from being a powerful committee chair. I imagine that's the price he's put on his defection. But it certainly will help Obama and the Democrats move forward with their agenda.
Will this global financial crisis cripple that we started off this conversation with you talking about, the massive agenda that he set for himself? Ultimately, at least in the first term, will this global financial crisis cripple that agenda in your view?
I don't think so, and I think if anything he's tried to play a little bit of political and policy jiu-jitsu here The magnitude of the crisis means that the measures have to be bold, and in the middle of those bold policy initiatives, one will do a renewal of American education. You will do a reform of American healthcare. You will start moving on greening the American economy. The sense of crisis and the need for urgent change, I think, actually gives him further political impetus, further political momentum to get moving on those things. Now, when the bills come due a year or two from now, or 3 years from now, and I think we'll start to see some of the economic follow-on from the massive spending that's going on in the United States, was being proposed at least, we'll see. So, indeed, that may speak to the rush, as it were, to get a lot of stuff done this calendar year before, as it were, we start to see perhaps some of the interest rates in the United States have to drift north to finance this amazing spending program that Obama is engaged upon.
Professor Jackman, good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Virginia.